program after the Red Pill Expo, and what an experience that was. I'm not going to tell you all about it until later in the week, but because I'm, well, you know, I'm just weighing the options at the present time. It was quite a thing, though. Got to actually meet, not only meet, but sort of have a little hang time with the one and only Robert Kiyosaki, the man who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I had no idea he was an well, there's no such thing as an ex-Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine. But he was a Marine combat helicopter pilot in Vietnam. Flew that skinny little deadly as can be Cobra gunship. What a guy, he really is. And then, of course, G. Edward Griffin put the whole thing on, and Lord Christopher Monckton was there, and Joe Salatin, Ty Bollinger, and Dan Johnson, and Cynthia McKinney, and Alex Newman, and Holly Swanson, and Richard Gage, and James Corbett. John Rappaport Skyped in. It really was an amazing conference. It was a nice facility, and I've got to tell you, I'm going to say this many times, it's worth going to Bozeman, Montana, just to go to this restaurant called Zydeco. It looks very French on the outside of the building, yes. It is somewhat austere. And then you go inside, and it is, well, even more austere. And there's a youngish French woman who works there, and they served up the most amazing, like, giant platters of jambalaya and etouffee. And I'm telling you, I've been to New Orleans many times. I've eaten all of the etouffee, jambalaya, and gumbo that anybody down there offers. This place was even better than Mandina's. Do I dare say such a thing? It's true. Mandina's pretty hard to beat in New Orleans. This stuff is amazing. I'm going to Bozeman to get me some good Creole cuisine. What? Yeah. Anyway, the venue was nice, and but there was some weird stuff going on there. I'm not kidding you either. Captured a couple of good interviews, one for sure that you're going to hear later on, as it's being assembled now. Because out there in the middle of nowhere, transferring files can be an issue, believe it or not. Or at least, well, let's see, who did we run into? The route was supposed to be from Dallas to Cincinnati, from Cincinnati to Minneapolis, and then to Bozeman. Well, we had a little hiccup in the flight plan, so we managed to get to Bozeman at the same time we were going to get to Bozeman, but we cut out the trip to Cincy and the trip from Cincy to Minneapolis out. At the Cincinnati airport, at the Minneapolis airport, because we didn't go to Cincinnati, Lonnie Anderson was there, you know, from WKRP and of Burt Reynolds fame. And Gene Simmons, you know, the guy who's always sticking his tongue out in the glam band Kiss from the 70s. He was in the airport. That was coming in. And then going out, I take it that nobody felt like flying at 0600. So there's Robert Kiyosaki and Lord Monckton. He was wearing this amazing cowboy hat. And he was in authentic Hollywood-esque Western garb. He's a big guy. He's got to be 6'5". And with boots, it's even worse. And so there he is with his pants stuffed down into his cowboy boots with this enormous cowboy hat on. It was really quite a spectacle. It was good. And then Robert Kiyosaki sitting back there in the plane with his shades on, like, don't talk to me, you know. Nobody knew who he was. It was really kind of funny. But the stuff started early. Now, speaking of stuff starting early, you know all this fake news stuff that's going around, then Mr. Trump, President Trump, rebranded fake news as very fake news. Well, let's just put it this way. James O'Keefe, whom we have personally knighted here as an arc knight on Caravan to Midnight, James O'Keefe strikes again.
Then why CNN constantly, like, Russia this, Russia that?
Because it's ratings.
Because it's ratings?
Our ratings are incredible right now.
But honestly, you think the whole Russia shit is just, like, bullshit?
Could be bullshit. I mean, it's mostly bullshit right now. Like, we don't have any big giant proof. I just feel like they don't really have it, but they they want to keep digging. And so I think the president is probably right to say, like, look, you are witch hunting me. Like, you have no smoking gun, you have no real proof.
And the CEO of CNN said in our internal meeting, he said, good job everybody covering the climate accords, but we're done with it, let's get back to Russia.
Then why is CNN constantly like, Russia this, Russia that?
This is ratings.
But honestly, you think the whole Russia shit is just like bullshit.
It's mostly bullshit right now. Like, we don't have any big giant proof.
I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you stay categorical?
You are fake news.
Because of the attack of fake news and attacking our network, I just want to ask you, sir.
I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you...
Even if Russia was trying to swing an election, we try to swing their elections. We're in our CIA and doing shit all the time.
Fake news. We start our American Pravda investigations inside America's media with part 1, CNN.
You know, that can be seen at Veritas Live. Is it org or com? One of the two. All right. Now here's the thing. We're talking about the assassination of a president's character. And we're talking about the assassination of truth. And it's the, might I say, scum on the left of things that is doing it. But it's not just on the presidential level. I want to read something to you that was printed in the Bozeman Daily Chronicle. Ready? Here we go. Activists, convention in Bozeman is alt-right recruitment effort. This is by Freddie Monaris, Chronicle staff writer. M-O-N-A-R-E-S. Freddie, F-R-E-D-D-Y, Monaris. Remember it. A conference held Friday and today in Bozeman that organizers say promotes freedom of choice has been criticized by human rights proponents as an alt-right recruiting attempt. The Red Pill Expo, according to the conference's website, features speakers who will, quote, help you to break free from the avalanche of propaganda, fake news, and outright deception, and to embrace reality for a better life, end quote. The speakers include authors, public relations directors, journalists, and activists. The conference schedule covers topics including healthcare, finance, climate science, globalization, and politics, according to the website. But Rachel Carroll Rivas, R-A-C-H-E-L, C-A-R-R-O-L-L, Rivas, R-I-V-A-S, co-director of the Montana Human Rights Network, said the wide-ranging topics are purposefully designed to recruit people to white supremacist or alt-right causes. Yes, purposefully. These idiots in the so-called field of journalism can't even speak the language. If you are walking with a determined gait, like you're on a mission, you are walking purposefully toward whatever the objective is. Purposeful, purposefully, meaning full of purpose. To do something deliberately is to do it purposely, not purposefully. It's very concerning. I just want to slap them when they say that. I've heard it one too many times. All right. Back to the article. Alt-right is a term embraced by some white supremacists and white nationalists to refer to their ideology, which emphasizes preserving and protecting the white race in the United States. Well, personally, as a white man, I'm not sure I have a problem with that, but we seem to want to protect every other class. But if you don't want to preserve or protect the white race in the United States, that's a problem. Carol Rivas said in a statement Thursday that the organizers for the event hope to find people who will attend due to being interested in one topic and then be exposed to the wider right-wing agenda. So let's get that. She says in a statement Thursday that the organizers for the event hope to find people who will attend due to being interested in one topic and then be exposed to the wider right-wing agenda. Well, Rivas, you're a liar. You're a liar. Please sue me. Rivas. Rivas. Oh, look, she's listened to Obama too much because her next sentence, which is a quote, uses this word. Folks should know what they are paying for when they walk in the door, Carol Rivas wrote. Many well-meaning people may not have had their guard up about this event, but they should. Debbie Bacigalupi, she's been on the program a few times, a volunteer for the conference who's listed on its website as the manager for exhibitors and sponsors, said she didn't even know what the term alt-right meant. Bacigalupi said the event welcomed people of all political backgrounds and that people should not be criticizing the event before they attend and see what's going on. Quote, that person should come down here before they spew hatred, end quote. Bacigalupi said the Montana Human Rights Network's accusations against the expo were untrue. She said people attending Friday flew from different parts of the world and were there of their own free will. Quote, these people believe in individual choice. The convention's chairman, G. Edward Griffin, is the founder of Freedom Force International, which, according to its website, is a network of men and women who are concerned over loss of personal liberty and growth of government power. The name of the expo is taken from a line in the reality-bending sci-fi movie The Matrix. Quote, in spite of differences in culture, nationality, race, religion, lifestyle, education, and economic status, we are in solidarity with the Creed of Freedom, which is a statement of principles that guide us in our mission, the website said. Because I'm not sure a website can say anything. It's stated on the website. A link on the organization's website says, quote, Red Pill Expo because you know something is wrong, end quote. The event in Bozeman is being held at the Commons at Baxter and Love. Organizers said tickets are sold out. Well, Caravan to Midnight sold them out. Sold those tickets out. More on that later. Carol Rivas said, the term red pill taps into a ready-made crowd of extremists. In her written statement, she said, quote, the name of the event is frequently used by the alt-right to indicate that its followers are the only ones who know the truth about what is really going on in America today. There is no reason Bozeman needs to put out the welcome mat for a gathering like the Red Pill Expo that builds off of conspiratorial tendencies and props up extremists. Well, Rachel Carol Rivas, you are a disgusting pool of lying pus. Well, she's entitled to her opinion. Yeah, well, her opinion sucks. And so does she, as far as I'm concerned. And this character, Freddie Monares, should never have written such a piece of Charlie Romeo Alpha Papa at all. That's how it is. Well, Robert Kiyosaki said, white supremacist, I'm Asian, how am I going to fit in? It's like, well, you are in, so I guess that speaks for itself. He's like, what? It's just stupid, people. It really is. The left is a disgusting mishmash of losers and non-hackers who wants to pull the entire civilization down to their level of loser so that they'll feel comfortable. But their ridiculous ideology, or whatever you might call it, is faltering and failing. We are winning, as the president says, winning bigly. We really are. They are so desperate. As a matter of fact, from The Intercept, which is a left-leaning organization, you know, Glenn Greenwald and all that, his biggest claim to fame is the whole Edward Snowden connection. Well, they do some good work, but they're decidedly left-leaning. 3 prominent CNN journalists resigned yesterday night, Monday night, after the network was forced to retract and apologize for a story linking Trump ally Anthony Scaramucci to a Russian investment fund under congressional investigation. That article like so much Russia reporting from the U.S. media, was based on a single anonymous source. And now the network cannot vouch for the accuracy of its central claims. In announcing the resignation of the 3 journalists, Thomas Frank, who wrote the story, not the same Thomas Frank who wrote What's the Matter with Kansas, Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter Eric Lichtblau, 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 I guess that means blue light, recently hired away from the New York Times, and Lex Harris, with 1 R, head of a new investigative unit. CNN said that standard editorial processes were not followed when the article was published. Oh, because they're very careful in their reporting. Them and Eraserhead, Rachel Eraserhead Maddow. The resignations follow CNN's Friday night retraction of the story in which it apologized to Scaramucci. Several factors compound CNN's embarrassment here. To begin with, CNN's story was first debunked by an article in Sputnik News, which explained that the investment fund documented several factual inaccuracies in the report, including that the fund is not even a part of the Russian bank. And that's Veshya Economic Bank. Vneshikom. Wow. I'm not even going to spell it. Vneshikonum Bank. Okay, I got it. Vneshikonum Bank. That's under investigation. And by Breitbart, which cited numerous other factual inaccuracies. And this episode follows an embarrassing correction CNN was forced to issue earlier this month when several of its highest-profile on-air personalities asserted, based on anonymous sources, that James Comey, in his congressional testimony, was going to deny Trump's claim that the FBI director assured him he was not the target of any investigation. When Comey confirmed Trump's story, CNN was forced to correct its story. Quote, an earlier version of this story said that Comey would dispute Trump's interpretation of their conversations, but based on his prepared remarks, Comey outlines 3 conversations with the president in which he told Trump he was not personally under investigation, end quote, said the network. But CNN is hardly alone when it comes to embarrassing retractions regarding Russia. Over and over, major U.S. media outlets have published claims about the Russia threat that turned out to be completely fake, always in the direction of exaggerating the threat and or inventing incriminating links between Moscow and the Trump circle. In virtually all cases, those stories involved evidence-free assertions from anonymous sources that these media outlets uncritically treated as fact, only for it to be revealed that they were entirely false. Several of the most humiliating of these episodes have come from the Washington Post. You know, the one that Jeff Bezos owns. The one that Jeff Bezos owns. Jeff Bezos, who's been working for years on a $600 million contract, maybe it's yearly, I don't know, to provide cloud services for CIA, and who now is going to run Whole Foods after he's recently acquired that with robots, sending chills of fear through all of the cult members that work at Whole Foods. Sorry, the great entrepreneur Jeff Bezos has just bought your company, and you're going to be replaced by a bot, or so it seems. On December 30th, the Washington Post published a blockbuster, frightening scoop that immediately and predictably went viral and generated massive traffic. Russian hackers, the paper claimed, based on anonymous sources, had hacked into the U.S. electricity grid through a Vermont utility. That, in turn, led MSNBC journalists and various Democratic officials to instantly sound the alarm that Putin was trying to deny Americans heat during the winter. Literally every facet of that story turned out to be false. First, the utility company, which the Post had not bothered to contact, issued a denial, pointing out that malware was found on one laptop that was not collected either to the Vermont grid or the broader U.S. electricity grid. That forced the Post to change the story to hype the still alarmist claim that this malware showed the risk posed by Russia to the U.S. electric grid, along with a correction at the top repudiating the story's central claim. National security. Russian operation hacked a Vermont utility, showing risk to U.S. electrical grid security, officials say. But then, it turned out that even this limited malware was not connected to Russian hackers at all, and indeed may have not been malicious code of any kind. Those revelations forced the Post to publish a new article days later entirely repudiating the entire story. Russian government hackers do not appear to have targeted Vermont utilities, say people close to investigation. We're sorry. Embarrassments of this sort are literally too numerous to count when it comes to hyped, viral U.S. media stories over the last year about the Russia threat. Less than a month before its electric grid farce, the Post published a blockbuster story largely based on a blacklist issued by a brand new, entirely anonymous group, featuring the shocking assertion that stories planted or promoted by Russia's disinformation campaign were viewed more than 213 million times. Well, that falls right in with somebody that talks like this, talking about 45 million listeners, which is also Bravo Sierra. That story fell apart almost immediately. The McCarthyite blacklist of Russian disinformation outlets on which it relied contained numerous mainstream sites. The article was widely denounced, and the Post, that's the Washington Post, 2 weeks later, appended a lengthy editor's note at the top. You might want to hear this, seriously. Editor's note by Craig Timberg, Timberg, November 24, 2016. The Washington Post on November 24 published a story on the work of 4 sets of researchers who have examined what they say are Russian propaganda efforts to undermine American democracy and interests. One of them was Prop or Not, a group that insists on public anonymity, which issued a report identifying more than 200 websites that, in its view, unwittingly or wittingly published or echoed Russian propaganda. Now, hear that again. One of them was Prop or Not, a group that insists on public anonymity, meaning we don't know who they are. A number of those sites have objected to being included on Prop or Not's list, and some of the sites, as well as others not on the list, have publicly challenged the group's methodology and conclusions. The Post, which did not name any of the sites, does not itself vouch for the validity of Prop or Not's findings regarding any individual media outlet, nor did the article purport to do so. Since the publication of the Post stories, Prop or Not has removed some sites from the list. Well, that makes everybody feel better. Weeks later, Slate published another article that went viral on Trump and Russia, claiming that a secret server had been discovered that the Trump organization used to communicate with a Russian bank. After that story was hyped by Hillary Clinton herself, multiple news outlets, including The Intercept, debunked it, noting that the story had been shopped around for months but found no takers. Ultimately, the Washington Post made clear how reckless the claims were. Little blurb here. That secret Trump-Russia email server link is likely neither secret nor a Trump-Russia link. A few weeks later, C-SPAN made big news when it announced that it had been hacked and its network had been taken over by the state-owned Russian outlet RT. This is a blurb from C-SPAN, right? This afternoon, the online feed for C-SPAN was briefly interrupted by RT programming. We are currently investigating and troubleshooting this occurrence. As RT is one of the networks we regularly monitor, we are operating under the assumption that it was an internal routing issue. If that changes, we will certainly let you know. That, too, turned out to be totally baseless, and C-SPAN was forced to renounce the claim. Correction, this story originally ran under the headline, C-SPAN confirms it was briefly hacked by a Russian news site. C-SPAN confirmed that an interruption took place but has not yet identified the cause of the interruption. So that lets you off the hook? Not at CTM, it doesn't. Losers. In the same period, December 2016, The Guardian published a story by reporter Ben Jacobs, claiming that WikiLeaks and its founder, Julian Assange, had, quote, long had a close relationship with the Putin regime, end quote. That claim, along with several others in the story, was fabricated, and The Guardian was forced to append a retraction to the story. This is what they wrote. The article was amended on 29 December 2016 to remove a sentence in which it was asserted that Assange, quote, has long had a close relationship with the Putin regime, end quote. A sentence was also amended which paraphrased the interview, suggesting Assange said, quote, there was no need for WikiLeaks to undertake a whistleblowing role in Russia because of the open and competitive debate he claimed existed there, end quote. It has been amended to more directly describe the question Assange was responding to when he spoke of Russia's many vibrant publications. Oh, is that all? But perhaps the most significant Russia falsehood came from CrowdStrike, the firm hired by the DNC to investigate the hack of its email servers. Again, in the same period, December 2016, the firm issued a new report accusing Russian hackers of nefarious activities involving the Ukrainian army, which numerous outlets, including, of course, The Washington Post, uncritically hyped. Quote, a cybersecurity firm has uncovered strong proof of the tie between the group that hacked the Democratic National Committee and Russia's military intelligence arm, the primary agency behind the Kremlin's interference in the 2016 election, the Post claimed. Continuing the quote, the firm CrowdStrike linked malware used in the DNC intrusion to malware used to hack and track an Android phone app used by the Ukrainian army in its battle against pro-Russian separatists in East Ukraine from late 2014 through 2016. End quote. Yet, that story also fell apart. In March, the firm, quote, revised and retracted statements it used to buttress claims of Russian hacking during last year's American presidential election campaign, end quote, after several experts questioned its claims, and CrowdStrike walked back key parts of its Ukraine report. Now listen, I don't want you to get bored. I want you to get all of this, all right? What is most notable about these episodes is that they all go in the same direction, hyping and exaggerating the threat posed by the Kremlin. All media outlets will make mistakes. That is to be expected. But when all of the mistakes are devoted to the same rhetorical theme, and when they all end up advancing the same narrative goal, it seems clear they are not the byproduct of mere garden-variety journalistic mistakes. There are great benefits to be reaped by publishing alarmist claims about the Russian threat and Trump's connection to it. Stories that depict the Kremlin and Putin as villains and grave menaces are the ones that go most viral, produce the most traffic, generate the most professional benefits, such as TV offers, along with online praise and commercial profit for those who disseminate them. That's why blatantly inane anti-Trump conspiracists and Russia conspiracies now command such a large audience, because there is a voracious appetite among anti-Trump internet and cable news viewers for stories, no matter how false, that they want to believe are true, and conversely, expressing any skepticism about such stories results in widespread accusations that one is a Kremlin sympathizer or outright agent. If one can, if one wishes, view the convergence of those ample benefits and this long line of reckless stories on Russia as a coincidence, but that seems awfully generous, if not willfully gullible. There are substantial professional and commercial rewards for those who do this, and at least until the resignation of these CNN journalists last night, very few consequences, even when they are caught. A related and perhaps more significant dynamic is that journalistic standards are often dispensed with when it comes to exaggerating the threat posed by countries deemed to be the official enemy du jour. That's a journalistic principle that has repeatedly asserted itself, with Iraq being the most memorable but by no means only example. In sum, anything is fair game when it comes to circulating accusations about official U.S. adversaries, no matter how baseless, and Russia currently occupies that role. More generally, the less standing and power one has in official Washington, the more acceptable it is in U.S. media circles to publish false claims about them, as this recent, shockingly falsehood-ridden New York Times article about RT host Lee Camp illustrates. It, too, now contains multiple corrections. And then, there's the fact that the vast majority of reporting about Russia, as well as Trump's alleged ties to the Kremlin, has been based exclusively on evidence-free assertions of anonymous officials, many, if not most of whom, have concealed agendas. That means that they are free to issue completely false claims without the slightest concern of repercussions. That there is now a fundamental problem with reporting on Russia appears to be a fact accepted even by CNN executives. In the wake of this latest debacle, the CNN editor issued a memo leaked to BuzzFeed imposing new editorial safeguards on, quote, any content involving Russia, end quote. That's a rather remarkable indictment on media behavior when it comes to Moscow. The importance of this journalistic malfeasance when it comes to Russia, a nuclear-armed power, cannot be overstated. This is the story that has dominated U.S. politics for more than a year. Ratcheting up tensions between these two historically hostile powers is incredibly inflammatory and dangerous. All kinds of claims, no matter how little evidence there is to support them, have flooded U.S. political discourse and have been treated as proven fact. And that's all independent of how journalistic recklessness fuels and gives credence to the Trump administration's campaign to discredit journalism generally. The president wasted no time exploiting this latest failure to attack the media. Wow, CNN had to retract big story on Russia with 3 employees forced to resign. What about all the other phony stories they do? Fake news in big letters. That was tweeted out by President Trump. Given the stakes, reporting on these matters should be done with the greatest care, as this long line of embarrassments, retractions, and falsehoods demonstrates the exact opposite mentality has driven media behavior over the last year. And that is an astoundingly good article, and I want to say it again, it was written by Glenn Greenwald himself. So I hope you're not having to shove your brains back into your ears because your head was exploding with that. But look, do you see how unbelievably dangerous these fools on the left are? I'm using the word fools. Now, how long are we going to put up with this? I think 90% of those mugs need to resign or be fired. I think their publication should be closed. I think they should be driven into destitution because they are so stupid. They are small. They are so small-minded, so short-sighted, and so bleeping stupid. They don't realize that this stuff may make them a few bucks. And it could also push somebody to push a button. You see, this kind of nonsense is viewed by the world as representative of what we think, and it's not. Journalism in this country is totally in the toilet. Now, Jesse Ventura came on and said, well, that's a BS question. He didn't say BS either. He said the whole word. That's exactly the kind of question I'd expect from Fox News. Oh, because everybody just sees how much money the whole country could be made by, the whole country if we would just start growing weed from West Coast to East. But what these dumbasses don't understand is there's a big difference between hemp and marijuana that you get high on. It's a pathetic situation. It really is. And the fact of the matter is that I would really like to unleash some serious rockola on a few parties. And unless I get direct instruction from the Lord not to, you're going to hear it later on this week. Oh, it involves people that you've come to know and really kind of admire and like, you know. Maybe even you love them. But they are not working in your interest. Not at all. For example, here's one. Who's afraid of James Wesley Howell? Reads the article from henrymacow.com. From June 12th, everyone apparently, the CIA, the MSM, Alex Jones, Jeff Rentz, David Icke, false flag expert Kevin Barrett, G. Edward Griffin, Gordon Duff, American Free Press, the ACLU, every criminal lawyer in L.A., none will reach out to Howell or champion his cause. Well, who is he? Okay. A year ago today, on June 12, 2016, Howell, 21 years old, was arrested in Santa Monica, California, with a small arsenal of weapons and bombs. A leaked story emerged that he was a CIA-sponsored terrorist assigned to attack the Gay Pride Parade. This was the same day as the Orlando nightclub attack. He realized he was being double-crossed and surrendered to local police before he could be murdered. In the year since his arrest, he has not received a single visitor. No one has tried to get his side of the story or offer support. He has rotted in jail while his trial is continually postponed. It is now scheduled for the autumn. Is there no one in LA with the courage to reach out to him? He didn't actually commit any crime. 20-year-olds make mistakes. Now, this is by Henry Mackow, Ph.D. James Wesley Howell is the smoking gun that proves terror events worldwide are sponsored by intelligence agencies. He asked Santa Monica police for protection June 12th, the morning of the Orlando massacre. He told them he was supposed to bomb the Gay Pride Parade, but had backed out when he learned Omar Mateen had been killed in Orlando. He said he had trained with Mateen at a CIA camp in Virginia. Police found items no freelance or ISIS terrorist would be able to assemble. He had 25 pounds of shock shot, an explosive used for blowing up targets by high-velocity bullets, most likely to cause a crowd, widespread panic, and a possible escape by assailants in smoke and mass confusion. The two components needed to make the shock shot explosive had been mixed. Howell had an Anderson Manufacturing AM-115-223 high-velocity round caliber rifle. Now, this is somebody who knows his firearms, right? The rifle had a round in its chamber and additional rounds in a 30-round magazine attached to it. Another 30-round magazine was taped to the rifle. He had a 30-06 bolt-action rifle with a round in its chamber and a high-velocity .22 caliber Ruger semi-automatic pistol. He had a mass-murdering commando assassin's arsenal. The FBI swept in and took charge of Howell. Since then, there's been barely a word about his case in the media, proof that he was telling the truth. The most disturbing is that both the mass media and alternative media won't touch this story. No lawyer or advocacy group has taken up his case. It proves that the American people are complicit in the charade that this is the war on terror. They are accomplices at best, victims of Stockholm Syndrome at worst. Howell's latest inmate information is below the comments. He has pleaded not guilty. His public defender is Pamela Davis. 310-727-6200. P. Jones at pubdef.lacounty.gov. That's what the Red Pill Expo was all about. It's about breaking the set. It literally is, take the blue pill, you wake up in your bed, everything in your head is still intact. Go on believing what you want to believe. You take the red pill, and you find out what's really the truth. And that's what we're all about here. I would go into some of the things that we experience providing this program. In this case, if you're viewing it on YouTube for free, which is why we implore you to become a member of Caravan to Midnight. You will not hear conversations like this anywhere else. You will hear news that you can find on your own if you have a staff or you get lucky. But otherwise you won't hear it. That's why we do this program. This is a mission. This isn't a job. You know, we're not trying to sell products that make things that are supposed to hang down, and stuff that's supposed to draw up. We don't do that. It's not about the Benjamins. But we got a staff of a pretty good-sized staff. And this is their full-time job. And they kind of need to feed their mouths and keep a roof over their heads. But it's a membership service. You aren't subscribers when you join. You are members. And you're treated like a member. And it's spreading all around the world, which is why these mugs stay way off. Because they know you come after us, and you cannot possibly imagine the exposure that you're going to get. So, 4 of us went to Red Pill Expo. 2 had their bags checked twice by TSA and had their little note in there. Your bags were inspected by a TSA agent. Okay, fine. My bags weren't inspected, except Miss B had to go through a total pat-down in a private room, and I went with her while they did this. And she's a tough cookie. But this one person this woman went up her leg with her rubber gloves on so hard, when it hit the stride of her blue jeans, it actually hurt her. I'm not sure she would appreciate my telling you that, but that's how it was. After that, it was go to the room and get patted down very gently, and because I was there, the treatment was very gentle and very delicate and completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. Yeah. The little blonde from communist-run South Africa, after the United States destroyed it and put an idiot like Zuma in charge. Yeah, she's the real threat, right? No. This country has turned into a mockery of itself. I never thought I would live to see the day when I, instead of looking at the American flag and going, I'd look at the American flag and go, yeah. I never thought that day would come. Land of the free and the home of the brave, my ASS. The land of surveillance and zero privacy. Pay us, pay us, pay us. And shut up. Do what you're told, or we'll put you in jail. Every time a cop pulls a gun on somebody, it's bam, 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 bam. It makes me sick. I'm using the word sick, as in literally. And these journalists, these so-called journalists, these pukes like the scumbag Rivas, who writes or makes statements that are then published in the Bozeman Daily Chronicle or whatever. Nothing but lies. Didn't see one pointy hat, not one Ku Klux Klan uniform, didn't hear anything about white supremacy, heard nothing about alt-right. I don't even know what that means myself. I guess it must be the people who are so right-wing that they're insane. We have reached a point in our history that is the most disgusting point we could have possibly imagined. And if you out there in listener land and viewer land do not do your part, however small, and you just leave it to somebody else to pull the exposure, you leave it to somebody else to go out on the clothesline so that you'll feel safe, well, all I can say is this: go to hell. Actually, I think you're already there, so I'll retract that. If you are so cowardly and sniveling that you will not take up even so much as your speech as a weapon against what is happening to this country, and through our complicity, the lives that are being destroyed all over the world, that you don't deserve to be safe. You don't deserve to be safe. And if the left gets its way, you won't be. And if the neocons are nothing but leftists disguised as conservatives. They get their way, you're over with. You think you don't have much now? You won't have anything. And when the useful idiot's usefulness is over, when it's all used up, they'll be discarded like a tissue that somebody's blown their nose in. They don't care about you either. You're just a willing dupe and nothing more. Now, I'm a little bit more jacked up today than I am usually. But what I'm jacked up about today is infinitesimal compared to what I'm jacked up about regarding the conference we just came back from. More on that later in the week, unless that proverbial guard, as spoken of in Scripture, is placed over my mouth and I get a message directly that I should just say nothing. Otherwise, I'm going to say plenty, because I need for everybody to know about this. Now, before we get to our beautiful musical interlude, let me tell you that we're going to talk with a couple of interesting guys. We're going to lighten up a little bit. We're going to talk with Ken and Kurt, and I'll tell you all about it in a minute. Ken and Kurt. And in the meantime, I would like to read this letter to you. I'm not going to identify this person. I'm not going to say husband or wife. I'm going to say spouse. And I'm not going to say man or woman, right? Because I just want you to hear this. There's a little check for $60. Okay? Initials of this person are DP. That's Delta Papa. And here we go. Dear Mr. Wells, God bless you, and be assured my prayers go with this letter. I read and study constantly because I graduated from college with a teaching degree. They claim people who go into that field do so because they love learning. I read all nonfiction to get to the truth and listen to exceptional programs to hear the truth and learn so much just by the variety of people you interview, which I always later research. I am a Caravan member. Thanks to the Hagmans, who had you on their show right before it was going to begin. They got me hooked. God bless them too. I value being a Caravan member because, as you claimed, there is no other place that can give you news that would be hard to find if done alone. Last week, via the internet, I paid for someone to be able to get your program for free. I trust you know exactly who deserves it the most. Tonight, while watching your show and hearing you tell the YouTube people how much they're missing out by not being a member, I could not agree more. Although I am now retired from teaching, gave that up because I taught children how to critically think and to always think for themselves. Public school was not for me. However, I gave free tutoring to many children, especially the ones whom teachers claimed were unteachable. I proved them all wrong, but never let the school system know what I was up to. After hearing you tonight, I felt inspired to donate another one-year subscription. Believe me, I'm not a rich person. My first spouse of 34 years walked out on me when I was too sick to work and totally bedridden. Taken over our joint checking, held all my inheritance money, took my house, which my parents, who are now deceased, gave me the down payment for after seeing the suffering I went through fighting cancer that the doctors claimed would kill me. I was now bedridden because I was diagnosed with an inherited blood disease that took all my strength away. This, too, was supposed to kill me. The ex waited until an insurance check would come. I had a puppet ministry for 12 years that crossed the country and the world, but once the hot water heater began to leak, no attention was paid to it. I couldn't do it. So when it burst, I lost about $60,000 in puppet stages, sound systems, backdrops, and more. As soon as the check arrived, the ex-spouse cashed it, got a lawyer, placed separation papers on my desk. I discovered I had no money to get a lawyer. Plus, when Piedmont Airlines was taken over by U.S. Air, it was a hostile takeover. In other words, they stole my pension. However, the Lord saved my life against all odds at least 4 times. Giving another subscription to another person is my way of saying thank you. You're the best news source. You make statements that I myself made up. It became uncanny until I learned you're part Italian. Il mio amico. I'm Sicilian, which makes me a fighter. I fight for truth, justice, and for my life. And 30 years after cancer was supposed to kill me, I'm still here. You made a statement once. You said that even if you're only part Italian, the Italian dominated everything. Our daughter, who's part Italian, looks more Italian than I do. Looks like my father. Wow, that's some strong DNA we have. No wonder you give the best news around, and no wonder that you care so much for others that you give your members an opportunity to help those who cannot afford membership. I am honored to be able to help someone else get the superb news and interviews. This blesses me so much. I adore the fact that you never deny your Christianity. What a blessing that is, and I pray more people profess their faith no matter what the cost. I share my faith with everyone I come across, and it's so strange how people who know nothing about me stop me and say, "You must be a Christian." Then I got to hear many, many life stories which never bore me. With great appreciation and blessings, and then the signature. Oh, P.S. I would love for my money to go to a veteran because my father was a sergeant on the Normandy Beach landing on D-Day. I'm so proud of him and every vet out there. Now that's what I'm talking about, and that is the stuff of which the Caravan to Midnight family is made. Now I'm not kidding you either. Timeline's getting short. There are so many phonies around out there you can't believe it. And trust me, you trusted them. So did I. But I don't anymore, because this is what we do, day in and day out. It's not like 8 to 5 and then you go back to your regular life. The mission is our life. The work is our life. It's like Arthur and the land. They are one. So come on, what are you waiting for? 766 programs in archive, including Dr. Janda. Dr. Dave Janda, brilliant surgeon, brilliant man, brilliant writer, brilliant activist, hardcore, nice man. But don't mess with him, because he gets to the core of things. So far, and this is not to denigrate anyone else who, for any number of reasons, have not joined the Caravan squad. The team is two, by the way. When it became possible to have Dr. Janda join us as a host, I said absolutely. So he records a show for Monday and another one on Thursday. So with his show that comes on WAAM 1600 out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, and our show, Arc Midnight, which comes on KLIF AM 570 in Dallas from 9 to midnight on Saturdays, 4 Caravan shows, 2 Dr. Janda shows, 1 John B. radio show, 1 Dr. Janda radio show. That's 8 programs per week. If you like what you hear and show a little love, become a member. And when you do, we'll show you the love that you deserve. You deserve to know the truth. And when you think about it, which is which? I think love and truth go hand in hand, don't you? Good. Thought you might. All right, a beautiful musical interlude, and then Kurt and Ken.